you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me.
Good morning. Welcome to Community Unitarian Universalist. I'm Jeremiah James, and today, we are on the land formerly of the Lenape Nation.
I'm Duncan Force. Welcome to Religious Education Sunday. Today, we're celebrating the past year, honoring our volunteers and bridging youth, and taking a look at the year ahead. It has certainly been another unique year, and we have much to celebrate.
The mission of our congregation is to nurture each other in our spiritual journeys, foster compassion and understanding within and beyond our community, and engaging in service to transform ourselves and our world.
Here we affirm 4 simple truths. It's a blessing you were born. It matters what you do. Your experience of the divine is true, and you don't have to go it alone.
We are very happy to have musicians Valerie Capers and John Robinson with us this morning, and a special welcome to our visitors. We are honored to have you with us too.
If you're new here today and here in our sanctuary, we invite you to wave a hand so we may recognize you and welcome you. Hello. Hello. If you're new here today online, then please do introduce yourself in the chat. Those online may find a link to the order of service on our website at cuucwp.org.
Thank you, Jeremiah and Duncan. As you arrived this morning, hopefully each of you received a paper flower, and we thank the Sedeva family for making us these flowers. We will be inviting you to write on them at some point, and those prompts are beyond numbers. In what ways do we want RE to grow? What do those growth areas look like? What would it take to nurture them into being? So you can start thinking about that. Prompts will be on the screen again in a little bit, and you can write on your flower whenever you're ready, and then during the last hymn, we'll invite you to bring them forward. If you have a joy, sorrow, or milestone you'd like to share, you may write it in our Joys and Sorrows books on the table to my right. For those on Zoom, please enter it into the chat. And please make the first word joy, sorrow, or milestone so that at the end of the prayer, I'll know which entries are meant to be read aloud. Now please join al forte in lighting our chalice.
Good morning. Allergy season's greetings to you. And of course, a happy Mother's Day to all persons who serve in that capacity. My name is Alejandro Forte. My wife Tessa and I have 2 children in RE, and I serve as the co-chair of the RE Council with Christine Herron. On the 7th Sunday of the season, we dedicate our chalice to the 7th principle of our faith: respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Please join us in the chalice lighting words from Walter Royal Jones in your order of service and on the screen. We invite those at home to light your chalice. Mindful of truth ever exceeding our knowledge, and community ever exceeding our practice, reverently we covenant together, beginning with ourselves as we are, to share the strength of integrity and the heritage of the Spirit in the unending quest for wisdom and love.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our gathering song, which is one of my favorites. Come, sing, see the lyrics here on the screen. That's actually an image from one of my favorite books about a little bird who sings. So you'll see the lyrics here, and I look forward to hearing your voices. Thank you. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Thank you. Please have a seat.
Good morning. I'm David Bowen, and happy Mother's Day to all, and happy Mother's Day to our birth mothers and my family. Our opening words this morning are from Thich Nhat Hanh. If you plant a seed in the springtime, by autumn a plant will mature and bear flowers. From those flowers, new seeds will fall to the earth, where they will be stored until they sprout and produce new flowers. Our mind is a field in which every kind of seed is sown. Seeds of compassion, joy, and hope, seeds of sorrow, fear, and difficulties. As we cultivate the seeds of joy and transform seeds of suffering in ourselves, understanding, love, and compassion will flower.
Please join me in our sung invocation. Spirit of truth that dwellest in the mountain, descend, we pray thee, to the marts of earth. Give us to hear the rustle of thy garment. Grant us to feel thy shadow near. So may we find the strength to stand face forward, courage to walk toward the dawning day.
Let's now greet those around us. The greeting today is peace be with you, and the response, and also with you.
If I could have everyone's attention, please. Thank you. Good morning, all. I am Janet Baer, co-chair of the Music Committee, and I'm here this morning to talk about an event coming up on Saturday night. we have the pleasure of experiencing the musical talents of jazz legend Valerie Capers. On Saturday evening, in addition to John, she'll have 2 other musicians with her, and they're going to be performing beloved songs from the Great American Songbook, as well as some songs that we're hearing this morning, bossa nova beat, and some original compositions. So after a 3-year hiatus due to the pandemic, I'm happy to announce that she's going to be back for an evening of jazz. It's going to be a hybrid performance, meaning you're invited to attend in person, and we're going to have some small tables and chairs set out, and it'll be a club-like atmosphere. You can invite your friends to come and sit around and enjoy the music. Or you can stay at home and attend on Zoom if you're more comfortable doing that from the comfort of your home. If you're here in person, we are asking that you be fully vaccinated and that you wear a mask. But whichever way you choose to attend, you don't want to miss it. So remember, it's next Saturday, May 14th at 8 p.m. We are asking for a suggested donation of $20 per person, but please don't let the money be a hindrance. There will be a discounted rate of $10 for students and seniors. And again, the place is either here in person or over Zoom from wherever you may choose to Zoom. You'll find the link for Zoom on the website, and we hope that you'll be able to join us. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Doyle. This is my sister, Callie. We aspire to a world of community, of peace, liberty, and justice for all, which begins in our hearts, in our homes, and in this, our congregation, as a place of peacemaking, fairness, and free religion. We are a people of faith called to build peace and justice and to offer welcome and sanctuary. From the resources we have, then let us offer a portion to maintain and build this congregation and support our June Plate Share recipient, Murray Grove Retreat and Renewal Center, where the roots of universalism took hold in North America and where we find a place for contemplation, learning, justice-making, and community.
Thank you so much. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, source of hope, divine of many names, we bring our whole selves to this space, and here we find comfort. Here we find community. On this weekend, we are reminded of those who have mothered us. For some, this is a day of celebration and reunions. For others, a day of sadness and pain. We hold those feelings and everything in between. And we share our gratitude for the people in our lives by birth or by choice who have nurtured and cared for us, and gratitude for those we have had the privilege of nurturing. Our hearts are heavy with concerns that issues and rights central to our UU values could be in jeopardy, most immediately a person's full reproductive autonomy. We join our voices with those crying out. We continue holding the people of Ukraine in our prayers. We pray for those whose humanity is denied by others, just as we pray for those who try to oppress others and in doing so lose sight of their own humanity. The stories of compassion and welcome from the world community give us hope. In the words of Ann Baker, every injury we may have named and yet still carry, those we haven't, can't, or dare not speak aloud, those we are not ready to make public, those still not recognized, accepted, or understood. These are the wounds we will tend cautiously, applying the salve of understanding, forming scars that mark our history, without disfiguring the future we might share. We are new to this endeavor, new to listening, new at hearing, new at taking enough time to honestly receive another's stories. We gather because we are hopeful, because we have visions and dreams of a brighter future. May the strength of this time together help us walk forward. May the wisdom of this experience help us to know our path. May we have the courage to return as often as necessary until our way is clear. May we have the perseverance together to see it through. May we cause it to be so. Shared in our joys, sorrows, and milestones this morning from Zoom, a joy from Joel, hearing Valerie Capers play in the CUU sanctuary again. And in the book, I have a note that says, "Today is my 11th birthday." Whose 11th birthday is it? Happy birthday. For all that has been said, for all that we carry in our hearts, we observe a moment of silence. members of the Gonzalez Fleck family tested positive for COVID, so they stayed home this morning, and we thank you for that. Nora prepared such a lovely reflection about placekeeping that we've been doing this year, so she will be joining us by Zoom. Nora, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Miss Tracy. Welcome to the RE Placekeepers slideshow. My name is Nora Black. Here in these slideshows, you will see the kids that go to RE class putting bags of leaves tied to bricks into bodies of water around the church grounds. We're doing this to see what kind of animals/insects live in the leaves when they're dead and they land in the water. Then in 4 weeks, we will come back and observe the bags. This was the part where Bice put a tennis ball in the river to see how fast the river was flowing. He told everyone to shout when the ball passed them, while Zach was keeping the time. Then Bice tested the temperature of the water, how deep it was, and the temperature of the air. We then continued to split off into 2 groups to cover the rest of the water locations. The group that I went with was led by Cynthia. The other one was led by Bice. We went to the stream behind Reverend's house and tested the temperature of the water, the temperature of the air, and the depth of the water, and then put the bag in. Then we continued to go where the river goes through the wall. We spotted 3 frogs as we were testing the air, the water, and how deep the water was. This is where we put bag number 4. On our way up to the last location, we were going up the hill and we saw deer prints. When we got to the pond in the clearing, we put bag number 3 in it after we tested the air temperature, the water temperature, and the depths of the pond. We had a little trouble because the pond that day was shallow, but we were able to get the bag wet and make sure that we could see what animals and insects could get inside. Then we headed back to the ending. We headed back to the sacred fire pit. Then each group and each person told other people what we had seen. That was the end of our journey for the leaf bags. I would now like to share a poem with you that was inspired to be made because we unfortunately found a pile of feathers of a cardinal, and we are assuming got attacked by a predator. This cardinal had a wonderful life, and she served a good use in the end. Because of her, she's starting a new life. She was beautiful. Goodbye, and thank you for starting a new generation. Love all that found you. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, Nora, for that beautiful poem. So the U.S. Surgeon General and others have brought attention to the disruption, loss, and anxiety the pandemic caused or worsened for many children and youth, especially poor children. And the attacks on trans children's rights in many states has been another threat to children's well-being this year. But during the fall and winter, and as we have gratefully come together in person this spring, I think that religious education has played an important role for the children, youth, teachers, and RE Council members. RE has offered consistency, whether online or in person, community, and the opportunity for participants to reflect on what they want to nurture in themselves as they re-engage with the world. I'm grateful to Tracy Breneman, our dedicated teachers, and all the children and youth who have inspired me this year and every year that I've participated in RE. and also for the fact that young congregants are so valued by CUUC.
We gathered together this year after what felt like a very long season apart. But much like our grounds during the winter, a lot of growth took place unseen and under the surface. Seeds that had fallen were waiting to sprout, and the roots of young plants reached deeper into the earth to support new growth. As we made our way back to the building, we saw new faces that were sprouting up closer to the ground, and slightly familiar yet changed older faces a little higher off the ground than we remembered, with longer stalks, thicker branches, and sometimes louder voices. We gathered and we grew. Serving on the RE Council, I have to say we definitely do favor and love our gardening themes, and I think that's because gardening ideally is an open-ended task. You create the conditions for growth, and then you wait and see what comes up and where it grows. It's the plants that choose what direction to grow in and where to branch out and when to send out branches. And it's just our job to support and nurture them as they make their own way up towards the sun. Like all gardeners, we think back and reflect on the growing season just past, what worked, what didn't, what's not sustainable anymore, what directions we want to go in, and what will help make our garden as productive as possible as we try to create the conditions that will support our young people as they grow into adults who are loving, curious, and of course, free to cultivate gardens on their own. We look forward to continuing this conversation with the entire faith community here at CUUC.
Good morning. My name's Cindy Tillman. My husband Daniel and I have been the on-call leaders of the youth group, such as it is. And we're so happy to have Mirren here with us today for our bridging ceremony. Bridging is the UU tradition, moving our youth into young adulthood. And we've had the pleasure of having Mirren at various times in her time here in RE. You've shaped us just as we hope that our community has shaped you. And to honor this transition and ground you in our values, the congregation is giving you, actually, we'd like to have Mirren come up here. going to make you go through this too. To honor this transition and ground you in your values, the congregation is giving you gifts that reflect the music, words, and rituals of our faith. We have a hymnal for you with notes of congratulations and encouragement from members of the congregation and a traveling chalice. We hope they will remind you of this community and that will always hold you dear. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here.
Could I please invite Christine Herron and Laura Goodspeed to join me in the front? When I started at CUUC, Christine and Laura were the RE Council co-chairs. Other RE Council members who are here today, would you stand? Thank you. Thank you for your service. So last year, Laura Goodspeed transitioned off the RE Council, and we didn't really get to celebrate that because we were online. So we're taking the opportunity this morning to do that. And this year, Christine is rotating off the RE Council after, how many years did you each serve on the RE Council as co-chair? Many years. So I just want to honor your service to this congregation and thank you for your collaboration for my first 2 years here. It just made my transition especially much easier. And I have a little something for you. So some lovely chalice necklaces for each of you. I hope you will wear them and remember your service. Thank you. So many of you, I'm going to stand on this side of you. Many of you may not have met Raquel until last Sunday, but she has been with us all year. Raquel is a seminary student at Union Theological, and she did her field placement with us the whole year in youth ministry. So the coming of age youth and the youth group know Raquel well. And it was a treat, it has been a treat to have you among us. It's been a treat to have you bring your perspective and become part of our community, an honorary UU with a Jewish pagan background. So I just want to thank you for your work and for how we have grown together this year. I have really enjoyed the time with you. And what we have for you is a chalice. So the chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalist faith, and we hope that you will use it whenever you need light, whenever you'd like to be reminded of this community that is so fond of you, and to be reminded of the year that we spent together. Thank you so much. Let me get this. You received paper flowers as you entered today. Does everybody have one? You have a little something to write with? Hold on to them for just a second. Do we have? Yes. So please consider the questions on the screen, and in the next few minutes, write your thoughts on the flower. After my reflection during the last hymn, we invite you to bring your flowers forward and plant them in our little garden in front. Those on Zoom can share your thoughts in chat, and we will write them on flowers for you. Please begin your note in Zoom with the word flower, so I know to include it here. Before the pandemic, we were talking about needed adjustments based on changing demographics and family needs. You have heard me talk about the so-called death of Sunday school conversations that started a few years ago. This was a call to acknowledge that the long-used Sunday school model alone is not enough. We can no longer rely on traditional religious exploration classes as the main way to serve children, youth, and families. We must reimagine RE, religious education. We must reimagine whole congregation worship. And we must reimagine what a vibrant, diverse, multi-generational community looks like, as well as how to live into our intentions and nurture that community into being. Faith formation is the term we use for everything that we do in this religious community that equips us to live our Unitarian Universalist values inside our walls and beyond. Here at CUUC, we are considering the way ahead as we approach ministerial transition, deepen our commitments to the work of justice making, and re-envision faith formation in a changing world. The Religious Education Council held the first of 2 retreats 2 weeks ago. David Bowen hosted us in his home. All of the RE Council participated. David, Christine Herron, Al Forte, Laura Sedova, Joe Gonzalez, Laura Goodspeed, and Stephanie Madden. We dug into questions like, why do you bring your family to CUUC? What do we want for children, youth, and adults who participate in classes and activities? How can the RE mission statement reflect the anti-racism, anti-oppression intention we embrace? What are core aspects of RE ministry, of building UU identity, of faith formation at various stages? We began with an open, creative brainstorm, considering these changing times and imagining new directions. To my delight, the team showed up ready to dig into this work in a measured and non-anxious way. Excuse me. In a measured and non-anxious way, knowing this will unfold for us over time. I am so grateful to them for embracing this work. There are still many things the RE Council has to discuss, but I can tell you that next year's theme for religious education and exploration is Unitarian Universalist identity. Part of UU identity is the building of beloved community that we nurture. Last Sunday, a group gathered for a multiracial worship workshop led by Reverends Lane Cobb and Eugene Holden. To talk about multiracial worship, our conversation inevitably broadened to being a multiracial congregation. A theme throughout was intention. Beloved community is intentional community in this society with our specific past, where white supremacy culture are the waters we swim in and the fibers woven through all of our systems. I mention it this morning because if a faith that is more inclusive is the Unitarian Universalism we want, we have to be prepared to teach it to our young UUs who will lead us one day. If we want them to have an anti-racism and more broadly an anti-oppression lens, we need to offer it. And to offer it, we need adults who are prepared to hold that learning as you lean into your own ongoing learning. There will be opportunities coming from the racial justice team that I will promote to our RE volunteers and families, just as I promote learning and action around issues affecting LGBTQIA++ and other historically marginalized groups. You might wonder why I would talk about anti-racism, anti-oppression, and justice-making when we're planning a year focused on UU identity. These are identity issues. We are in the midst of a deep and important conversation about the ways in which we want our faith to evolve. And when we are thinking about who we want to be as a religious community in the future, and we explore ways to live into those intentions, even giving up some familiar practices in favor of new ways of doing and being so we can evolve, we have to include our children and youth in the work. They will be the ones carrying it forward in our names. Over the coming year, this congregation will engage in self-assessment in preparation for ministerial transition. As RE is also in a period of transition, the RE Council is working on the types of questions we would like to include in congregational assessments so we have information that allows us to plan for a realistic and sustainable future of faith formation in this congregation. The RE Council will be putting everything on the table, embracing what supports the work ahead and letting go of practices that no longer serve our vision. And we need to know what you, the congregation, are committed to and willing to actively support. When I mention growth, I'm not only thinking of numbers. I'm thinking about the ways in which we are growing into our Unitarian Universalist identity. In 2012, Tandy Rogers, who is UUA staff, posted a blog titled Growing Beyond Numbers. Tandy explores growth categories from Ted Buckle and Lauren Mead, and she added a category to their list. The 5 categories are organizational maturity, which is tied to our purpose for being and our pathways to leadership and service. The second is spiritual vitality, how we understand this as a religious community, and how that understanding is reflected in our hospitality, budget, community care, and justice making as an expression of Unitarian Universalism as a tool for faith formation. Third is faith in action. How does our faith inform how we create justice, love, and beauty in the world? Fourth is associational growth, exploring who we are in relationship with. Last are numerical indicators. How do we count who we are serving? How do we measure our impact, our effectiveness, and our success? Tandy concludes her blog referring to breakthrough congregations. Those are congregations that have been successful leading change, demonstrating new and better ways of meeting the needs of those currently underserved. What she learned is that none of the thriving religious communities led with numerical growth as a goal. They led with paying attention to the first 4 categories, and numerical growth is one outcome. If we want to grow a beautiful, diverse garden, we need to think about what paths of growth lead us to other paths of growth, and then be intentional in how we nurture them. The RE Council and I look forward to the conversations and work ahead in this community, and we're excited about being in this journey with the whole congregation. So back to the flowers. This would be a good time to write some thoughts if you haven't had a chance to yet. In response to the questions posed on the theme, thinking about what do we want for religious education? What are we growing in this community? As we sing the last hymn, we invite you to bring your paper flowers forward and plant them in our little garden here, or put them in one of the vases, and we will plant them along with those shared on Zoom. Then we invite you to take a couple pieces of 8 principal seed paper home with you to plant. We can literally carry our values into the world and plant them. The UUA bookstore sells Sweet 7 Principle seed paper. I chose the watering can for the 8th principle to highlight that we have to actually nurture what we want to grow. What we truly nurture will grow. So during the hymn, please come plant your flowers.
But just because you're planting flowers does not mean you're off the hook for singing. I'd love you to rise in body or spirit for hymn number 76, For Flowers That Bloom About Our Feet. And while we sing, we invite you to plant your flowers down front.
For flowers that bloom about our feet, for tender grass so fresh and sweet, for song of bird and hum of bee, for all things fair we hear or see. Giver of all, we thank thee. For blue of stream and blue of sky, for pleasant shade of branches high, for fragrant air and cooling breeze, for beauty of the blooming tree. Giver of all, we thank thee. For this new morning with its light, for rest and shelter of the night, for health and food, for love and friends, for everything thy goodness sends. Giver of all, we thank thee.
Testing. We are grateful to Valerie Capers and John Robinson for sharing their beautiful music with us today.
Full Giving Campaign Committee thanks everyone who has made a pledge to support CUUC in the next congregation year. We are getting closer to our goal. If you haven't pledged yet, please submit your form today and help us reach our target.
The youth group's new quest room is available for journey groups, committees, families, and friends. Click on the Sign Up Genius link in the weekly newsletters.
Next Saturday, May 14th, is our Jazz Fest concert here in the sanctuary at 8 o'clock with the wonderful Valerie Capers.
And the kitchen crew hopes to prepare a CUUC brunch, our first since the pandemic, on Sunday, May 15th. We need to know if enough people are ready to come and eat together again, so we can decide whether to move forward or cancel. Please RSVP to Creighton Cray by noon on Monday, May 9th. You will find details and links in the e-communitarian newsletter posted at our website, cuucwp.org.
Our May Share the Plate funds go to Murray Grove Retreat and Renewal Center, the only Unitarian Universalist Conference Center in the metro area, and the site traditionally considered to be where Universalism in America began. They also host the Coming of Age Credo Writing Retreat, which Finn and I attended this year. You can use the donate button on our website, the QR code on your paper order of service, or make a check out to CUUC with the memo Share the Plate, Murray Grove, and put it in the mail or in the collection basket.
After our closing music, we invite folks here in the building today to coffee hour in Fellowship Hall. Those on Zoom can log out of this space and log in to our coffee hour Zoom room. The link is on our website and we will post it in the chat.
Please remember to place your name tag in the basket in the lobby as you leave today. Now please join the family for Chalice Extinguishing.
Please join us in the Chalice Extinguishing words printed in your order of service, and we invite those at home to extinguish your chalice with us. Every one of us is held in creation's hand, a part of the interdependent cosmic web. Therefore, strangers need not be enemies. No one is saved until we all, the whole of creation, are saved.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Thank you. Now please do hang out for a minute. I think we have some more extraordinary music from Valerie and John. You can sit down if you like.